Hello and welcome to Good Deeds, the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds. I'm Mark Crosby. Thank you for joining us here today. Joining me, as in programs past, is the Register of Deeds for Norfolk County. That would be Bill O'Donnell. Bill, welcome.
Mark, thanks for having me. Always good to talk about an arm of government. Many people don't know about the Registry of Deeds, but you know, the biggest asset we have, most of us have, are our homes, and that's what the registry deals with, the land records around the county, Norfolk County, that get recorded. And again, we got to be cognizant at the Registry of Deeds. It's been tremendously busy. In fiscal year 2021, there was over $81 million collected and over 205,000 documents recorded, and that was in a pandemic. And it really, I think, is because of great technology through our IT department, through great, you know, we have great managers there, a great team of managers, but also the staff, the union and the non-union staff really stepped up, and to the point they got, fiscal 21 was in the throes of the pandemic. You know, the staff got recognized through, D'Angelo's had an Everyday's Heroes program where they recognized groups in the community that kind of went above and beyond during the pandemic. So I mention that because, you know, fiscal year ended June 30th, 2021, and it was very busy. And now we'll talk about some of the stats for the first quarter of fiscal 22, which is from July 1st to September 30th. It's 3 months. And you can see a bit of a slowing down countywide. You know, we look at document volume. In 2020, for that 3-month period of July 1st to September 30th, there was 49,846 documents recorded, and that's decreased to 48,341. You know, and it doesn't sound like much, 1,505 documents less, but that's 3%. And to me, so it's down 3%. And also down is the mortgages. When you look at the mortgages in the calendar year 2020 for that first quarter, again, when comparing quarters of 2021, I'm sorry, to fiscal year. So we're comparing, the 3 months, basically July to September. The total mortgages were 12,900, but this quarter, which just ended, is 10,869, so down 16%. Mortgages are down 16%, and I think a lot of it is, if people, the rates are still relatively low, but I think a lot of people have refinanced. A lot of people have already taken steps to refinance, and clearly they're borrowing a lot of money. The indebtedness, which is the borrowings, even during this decreased period, actually went up 66%. So people are borrowing more money, even though there's less mortgages. But as far as document volume, the total documents are down countywide. Total mortgages are down. The good news, I always say, the communities in Norfolk County are well run. They're attractive to live in, and that's borne out in the deeds. Total deeds, again, comparing quarter to quarter, total deeds, again, that quarter from 2020 to 2021. And again, we're in fiscal year 2022, but we're looking at the statistics that just ended, which is July 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2021. The total amount of deeds recorded actually went from 5,342 to 5,893, or an increase of 10%. So we're still seeing that properties are for sale. That's what deeds are. They are, transactions showing that property has changed hands in some way. And so the deeds, they're up. And again, I think it's a reflection. You hear it from brokers that maybe it's not as crazy with the multiple offers, but there's still demand. And that demand is shown that people still want to live in Norfolk County, and the deeds are up. And remarkably, again, when we look at average sale price countywide, we also have to look at residential and commercial. We kind of pool it all together, which kind of skews the numbers. up, of course, because you are combining commercial, which, you know, some commercial buildings could be being sold for millions of dollars countywide.
Absolutely.
And in the 3-month period in 2020, July 1st to September 30th, the average sale price was $860,000. And for that same period in 2021, it's over $1 million, up over 141,000, which is a 16% increase. So again, seeing the fact that there's a demand for housing, a demand for property, and when you have demand and a limited supply, prices are going to go up. So, you know, statistically, a sort of a mixed bag. I see it slowing down because of the total document volume going down, and we try to talk to the attorneys that are coming in, or to the title examiners, or to the brokers that we interact with at the Registry of Deeds at 649 High Street in Dedham. Some more people are taking the virtual trip using our technology, but you know, we again, we're fully operational throughout the pandemic, and our building is open. If people are still uncomfortable coming into the building, we have a drop box outside that we still go and check documents. But we have to, it seems like things are slowing down, especially anecdotally talking to the people that use the registry. One thing that isn't slowing down, or one indicator we hate to see going up, is foreclosure deeds, which is the end of the foreclosure process, and notices to foreclose, which the registry's only involvement in foreclosure is by law. If a lender is foreclosing on you as a borrower, they have to record a notice of foreclosure. And again, the notices of foreclosure have, well, first of all, deeds, notice of foreclosure, you know, have gone up. You know, this quarter, it was 30. Last year, that same quarter, it was 1. And same with deeds, the end of the process, you know, so people are starting to struggle.
Well, we're in a pandemic.
Yeah, and some of it, the numbers last year was skewed because there were moratoriums on certain actions taken by lenders and things like that, certain statutes that were in place. But what I try to say all the time is, if you are in trouble, or you find your situation where you're getting behind on paying your mortgage, or you might get in trouble not paying your taxes with the town, we have a couple of groups here in Norfolk County that we have partnered up with. NeighborWorks Housing Solutions, and also Quincy Community Action Programs. And again, just because the word is Quincy, they've committed to help everyone, whether you're out in Bellingham or Cohasset or Brookline. They've committed to help anyone in the county. So what I like is they are both nonprofit groups. They both not only look at your particular issue as to your property that you're behind, whether it's paying your taxes or paying your mortgage, but they also have an education component, a counseling component, taking a look at holistically at what's going on in your household, the credit card debts, or are you overspending? You know, some people, it's unfortunate. It could be a medical situation. You could lose a job. But, you know, I always suggest, don't wait till the sheriff's there on the property, you know, foreclosing on your property, and people, it's at the end of the process they try to get help. Get help at the beginning of the process. And also, if you go to our website, www.norfolkdeeds.org, we have not only links to the two groups I mentioned, NeighborWorks Housing Solutions and Quincy Community Action Programs, but the Attorney General's Office, which we have information on our website, has programs to try to help those people that are struggling with foreclosure. And again, that's a number that unfortunately is going up when we look at this quarter, July 1st to September 30th, 2021 versus July 1st, September 30th, 2020.
Now, we are recording this program on October 18th. Traditionally, towards the end of the year, is there a change?
Well, you know, I know we're in fall. I have my Red Sox tie on, so in the hopes that they're on the way to a pennant and eventually a World Series, we hope. Yeah, there's always changes, and it's funny. Last year the numbers were tremendous, and really the typical months where things start slowing down, the Novembers, the Decembers, the January, and the Februarys. I don't know if it was pent-up demand. Things just happened, and it was very busy. But even on a typical year, it starts slowing down November and December, January and February. A lot of it is sales. People aren't out buying houses then. Sometimes in December we see a spike up because people have to do things for tax purposes before the end of the calendar year, which is the tax year, say December 31st. So there might be some spike in activity. So yes, hopefully, we'll see how the rest of fall closes. But in the typical year, you're going to see a slowing down until the spring.
I do want to bring up one of the, I would say, battles going on at the registry, and that's with the Chief Information Officer. Talk about that, because that has been all over the news as far as information that has been coming out of the registry. Talk about the position, talk about the department, and talk about where things go from here. Well,
thank you. And again, all these statistics we just talked about, and collecting $81 million, and recording documents. Not only recording documents day to day for people that deliver the documents, but technology changes. When I started as a Register of Deeds, they never had electronic recording. That was something that had to get authorized by the federal government and the state government, and now we record electronically. It's all through technology. So yes, there has been a dispute, and now we're at hopefully the vetting stage. There was a recommendation, there was a study being taken of all parts of county government. The Norfolk County Commission has paid a consultant to look at all aspects of county government. I'm just focused on the IT department. And what's troubling is the recommendations just came out with respect to IT and technology at the county. And there was a dispute. The Registry Chief Information Officer, which has been an on-site permanent position, it's still funded, it's been existing for 20 years, the position wasn't filled, and a lawsuit was filed. Well, some of it was based on, I would say, the interference of the Abrahams report. Some others would say the influence of the Abrahams study. Well, the Abrahams study has come out. Not only are they recommending now that the Registry of Deeds does not have an on-site Registry Chief Information Officer, as it has since my whole tenure, since 2002, it's going further. They're eliminating entirely the on-site registry IT technology department that has worked with registry staff, has worked with registry users, whether they are lenders, real estate brokers, title examiners, engineers, lawyers. The IT department works with the general public that calls in with questions. So now finally we have the Abrahams study. It's out, and it recommends elimination of the registry IT department. Now, some people might say, well, government should be consolidated and streamlined, and I agree with you. I'm elected to run the registry. I'm elected as a Democrat. Some people say I run it like a Republican. I prefer to say I run it compassionately, but I also run it like a business as well. And to me, it is absolutely incredible and such an unsound policy not to have, in this day and age, a registry IT technology department that is on site, not to have a Registry Chief Information Officer overseeing and working with the Registry IT technology department. It will be disastrous. And I want people to understand out there, this isn't some bloated government entity within the Registry of Deeds. We only have a 2-person permanent department. We have the Registry Chief Information Officer, and we have the Registry IT Technical Assistance Administrator. And we have a temporary person, a recent college graduate that comes in. He works temp to try to help out. I think the technology needs should be increased. And the reason I hope it gets vetted is the Abrahams. Now, they were a paid consultant. They were paid to do this report. In the report, and I want to read it because I don't want to be misquoted, but the report says, with respect to Registry IT operations are being well run considering the limited staff. with that statement made, I cannot comprehend the disastrous recommendation that was made not to have a registry chief information officer, an on-site permanent registry chief information officer, and an on-site registry IT technology department that's been in existence. And when I say in existence, if people want to know history, one thing we can guarantee, technology is going to change. When I came in 2002, the internet was just starting up. There was no emails at the registry, and we changed the title. We could see it was coming, Registry Chief Information Officer. But my predecessors, Register Barry Hannon and Register Paul Harold, they had IT staff. Paul Harold, and actually going back to Barry Hannon, was in the 1970s. They called it Director of Data Processing. So there's been an IT staff at the registry back to the 70s. So.
And we should mention not only in this county, but neighboring counties.
Well, yes, that's interesting because the Abrahams, and I don't know who chose the benchmark communities, whether it was somebody did. No one asked for our advice. As a matter of fact, the Abrahams people never spoke to us before that chief information officer vote. Never spoken to, never have come by the registry to walk around, look at what the staff does. Let's go into the IT department and look at all the servers. Never has. But they chose as the benchmark communities, or two counties, Bristol County, which has 3 registries, and Plymouth County. Now, their initial report said those registries don't have an IT department. And then they conclude Norfolk, I guess, shouldn't have an IT department. Well, there's a but. Since came out, some of the registers saw it online, took umbrage to the fact that, as a matter of fact, they do have IT departments and wrote letters accordingly. And again, I hope this is all part of the vetting process. Well, to me, that should change your conclusion. Because you were wrong on the basic fact that 2 of the benchmark communities, there are registry IT departments.
And I know Plymouth, going back to the 70s, just as Norfolk.
In the letter, Register John Buckley, a very valued and certainly a distinguished register of deeds in Plymouth County, he oversees what is termed the first registry in America, because it goes back. They have back to the Pilgrims and all that. He wrote. He took umbrage because he said, as a matter of fact, there's been an IT department dating back to the 70s in Plymouth. So how did you get that all wrong? Hopefully that will be vetted. And when people talk about cutting jobs and consolidation means cutting jobs, it's only a 2-person department. And in the report acknowledges there may not be any significant staff reductions. So the IT department at our registry has done so much. We have documents back to 1793. Go on our website, www.norfolkdeeds.org. You can look up documents back to 1793. You can sign up for a consumer notification service so that if there's any scams or anything bad going on with your property, you can do that. Well, we've done a lot. So with just a small staff. So how do you get rid of that staff? And people might say, well, why are you so passionate about it? I believe, and I know under the statute, I've been legally tasked with running the Registry of Deeds in Norfolk County. The voters have tasked me with running the Registry of Deeds. And I believe I wouldn't be doing my duty as Registrar of Deeds if I just let this recommendation go. I wouldn't be doing not only my duty to facilitate good registry operations, which we have had in Norfolk County, but I'm fighting on behalf of the people that use the registry. I mentioned a lot of those groups: the real estate brokers, the title examiners, the lawyers, the engineers, bankers, lenders, people that do appraisals of houses, developers, but more so the general public. A lot of the general public, because of shows like this, now look to the registry. They look up their deeds. They try to put a homestead on that protects their property. Well, it's all done with technology. And I think there's so many bad outcomes that could happen without an on-site registry IT department working with the registry staff and working with the public. And what I found absolutely incredible is in this report, that came out, and I'm just looking at the IT part that with the county and the technology part and the registry. But this paid consultant says IT security is not part of the scope of his analysis. And he wrote, we are not security experts. Well, in this day and age of cybersecurity risks, as a matter of fact, the state legislature has just started a committee that's looking at the effects of cybersecurity attacks on small towns, on academia. Just a ferry system down in Woods Hole got hacked. The risks of not even looking at cybersecurity. So they acknowledge they're not cybersecurity experts, yet they're doing decisions that could potentially have cybersecurity ramifications because there are cybersecurity risks. And you know what? Even having an IT department on site, we could get hacked. Know why? We've had assessments and we test our system. And they said, you know, Bill, sadly, these are experts. You know, it's not a matter of if there's going to be some type of breach or some type of ransomware that's been going on, and knock on wood, it hasn't happened yet. It's when. Well, you have a study group whose expertise is schools. They never looked at a registry of deeds before. They really didn't. They came to the wrong conclusion. And I hope that that gets vetted.
And admitted that security wasn't one of their high points.
No, quote unquote, it's right in the report. Not only was the IT security not part of the scope of their investigation, but we are not security experts. Well, first of all, it calls into question to me, you're making IT recommendations in this day and age and you have no clue about security? That's the whole thing now. And, you know, we mentioned money. $81 million was collected in fiscal year 21. That's a target. But how about this? What do the land records going back to 1793, what are they about? Your title, the title to your home, to your property, to your businesses, it gets authenticated by the land records that are recorded and in the registry of deeds. Not just in the books, but on the computer. So really, to me, you're jeopardizing the title to people's property by, this reckless. I think it's a reckless and disastrous recommendation, and I hope it gets impartially and properly vetted. I think based on the facts, and maybe I'm going back to my days as an assistant district attorney in Norfolk County, to my days as an attorney. I'm a big believer. At least in a courtroom, people might have their own biases, but they come in, they listen to the judge. Don't be biased, listen to the facts, and make an informed decision. I hope that's what happens, because I'm looking at the facts, and I just see there's no other right conclusion, but keep the registry IT department, keep the registry chief information officer at the registry, and if you want to build up other parts of the county, build it up. But I also noted they at least wrote, combining the two networks, because remember, we have our own network, the county has their own network. Combining the two networks may be problematic. So if you're saying it may be problematic, why gamble?
Well, the interesting thing, too, is that further forward on the report, there was mention of, with a small staff, you're doing well.
Well, and I'll read it again. IT operations are being well run considering the limited staff. So, I don't know, I always think back to my uncle, my parents, different sayings, but the old saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And that's where I'm at.
I do want to, just in the last couple minutes, talk about an extension of the IT department. You mentioned it briefly, the Consumer Notification Program.
Yes. The FBI says one of the largest growing crimes is property and mortgage fraud. Now, there are people always contacting the registry. They're hearing Newt Gingrich. Before that, it was Rudy Giuliani. Title Law, come sign up. Well, in Norfolk County, we have a free program where you sign up and you get a notice. If my name's William Patrick O'Donnell, some William O'Donnell document comes through, I get a notice. I can look it up. Hey, it has nothing to do with me. Maybe there'll be some time I'll look it up and say, wait, that's the deed to my house. Oh, wait a minute, that's a mortgage on my property. I didn't sign it. And if you're not good on the computer, we have a customer service center, which is open. It's been open right through the pandemic at 781-461-6101. You can call up say, hey, I got this notice, you know, help me out, and we'll make sure to see if it's not your property. So it's a free service. If you know, no pressure, but if you want to sign up, at least in Norfolk County, you don't have to pay big bucks that you have to pay to these other private entities that are doing it. Do it to Norfolk County for free. And how that unique program, Norfolk County was one of the first registries to have this consumer notification program. It was technology. It was the registry IT department that did it. So that's just one example of, you know, how important and critical to a functioning registry having your own registry IT department is.
In the last couple minutes, well said, by the way, in the last couple minutes, talk about some current legislation on Beacon Hill.
Yes, legislation is always important. Once again, we're filing what they call is the mortgage assignment bill. It's sponsored by Senator Keenan out of Quincy, Representative Bill Galvin out of Canton. And what it says is just for residential property, you got to record your assignments, because consumers are like, wait a minute, I don't know who's holding my mortgage. So if your mortgage gets assigned, the law would require that the assignments get recorded. They have to do it on the land court side, which is 20% of Norfolk County. Why not do it on the other 80% side, so all the consumers can go online and know where their properties, know that their mortgages have been assigned. It's Senate Bill 1060 and House Bill 1576. I recently testified in front of the Judiciary Committee. I hope it gets released. Tell your local legislators or contact the Judiciary Committee to report out favorably Senate Bill 1060 and House Bill 1576. Last go around, it did get reported out favorably, and it went to the Committee of Bills on third reading. It didn't quite get over the finish line. Maybe this year it can.
Well said, well put, and we hope that that does find its way into law. And lastly, I'd like to just mention a program, and there's a prop for this. This is my donation, although there's more. I just couldn't bring them all to the set. But this is a suit or a suit jacket, and that would relate to Suits for Success.
We'll put that up. And again, Mark, thank you. You know, you're always generous with your time. And Suits for Success, and it's kind of misnomer. It started as suits, and now we take all kinds of clothing. We take all kinds of. We take women's clothing. We have pocketbooks. We have belts. We have shoes. A lot of people, clean out their closets and donate. And where do they end up? They end up at the VA, the veterans. They've done a great job for America. We go over to Jamaica Plain and drop clothes off. Father Bill's Place, Interfaith Social Services. And this is timely because we just had a group, Inner City Weightlifting, which is a group that uses weightlifting and weight training and working out of Dorchester and Cambridge, but part of what they do is they try to transition people into jobs, and some people just don't have basic, polo shirts and just nice dress shirt to go to a family function, never mind an interview. So this is timely. If you have suits, contact us, drop it off, 649 High Street in Dedham, and we take the suits and we make sure they get to the appropriate body. But it's very timely because, and what was heartwarming was Inner City Weightlifting brought a couple of clients who were there, and then they took more back, and we just got a picture of some of the people that couldn't get to the registry. They outfitted, and it makes you feel good. So sometimes when we're battling with this negative stuff like technology and IT, you remember the good stuff, and thank you for your donation, and this is the stuff that, in helping people, that's what it's about.
Well, thank you, Bill, as always, for coming in and chatting, and certainly look forward to these programs on a monthly basis.
Great. Thank you, Mark.
Always a pleasure. And thank you at home for watching. Please remember to support your local Access TV station for more programs just like these.